Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. Real Estate Coaching Radio is the nation's #1 daily radio show for realtors who demand authentic, real-time coaching. Get ready for fluff-free, unfiltered, full-strength honesty about what's truly working to get you into action, helping others, and making money now in today's real estate market. Now to our hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
3, 2, 1, and we're back, Julie. It is a day away from your birthday.
I know. That's right. I'm accepting presents.
And you're going to be 35. How many times have you been 35?
We'll just say again.
We're just going to...
Well, it's a good number.
We're going to stick at 35?
Yeah.
Okay. As long as you don't feel like you're maybe...
Don't even.
What? I'm not allowed to say it?
Moving on.
I'm not allowed to say the real age?
No.
Okay, 35.
Thank you.
But that would mean, technically, if you're 35, that means that we started dating when you were 1.
Well, you know.
When we were in high school.
We can confuse the audience.
So, Julie's not really 35, but we're going to go with 35. Yeah. So, happy almost birthday.
Thank you.
That's the point.
And remember, for the next day, you are a year and 3 days older than me.
Oh, no, according to you. Okay, since
well,
you
more,
brought...
that's true.
Exactly.
Okay, rewind.
So now, technically, we're no longer a year apart now that I'm 51.
16 years and 3 days.
That's right. Now we're 16 years apart.
Yes, that's
so
right.
if you're comfortable being married to someone who's 16 years older than you, that's perfectly fine.
Right. You pull it off well.
All right. So anyway, tomorrow's Julie's birthday. Make sure you guys inundate Julie with birthday wishes as you did me. I certainly appreciated it. And unfortunately, I will not be able to thank all of you personally because, frankly, there were just too many.
Well, you are now.
Yeah, exactly. So I am now. So thank you, all of you. Look, the Clubhouse thing, the Clubhouse phenomenon is definitely real. And Julie and I started our own club room called Real Estate Coaching. So if you're on the app, make sure you follow us in the club room, and we're going to be doing more and more really fun clubhouses. And it's not like the podcast. I think we're kind of figuring our way out, and it's really a mastermind. Sean Kokosko was on this morning, and he really did encapsulate it. It's like a mastermind meets sort of people standing around a water cooler kind of situation. So it's really fun. It's a very informal environment where there's very rarely is there someone that's going to be doing a lot of dominating of the conversation. So everyone, new agents, seasoned agents, grizzled agents, everything is fair game, and everyone's allowed equal time to share their thoughts and their feelings. And I think it's really, I've never experienced anything out of like this, professionally, that's for sure.
No, it's definitely collaborative, and you do a good job of having kind of a thought prompt,
a theme
or a question just to get everybody's gears working. And then, it turns into what it's going to turn into. Sometimes it's on topic. Sometimes it's a totally different topic. Yep. Sometimes somebody shows up to the room that is loosely related to what we're talking about, but has a lot of great things to say.
Yeah.
So I like the spontaneity of it for the most part. Occasionally something weird will happen, and then, we'll have to recalibrate. But for the most part, it really is like a mastermind, and a lot of great stuff there. A lot of motivation, really.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's fun being around people that are sharing the similar, life path as you. That's where really, yes. I think the big payoff is for most people, it seems, based on what they're saying. Mm-hmm. So it happens every morning at 8 o'clock East Coast. Just look for Real Estate Coaching. That's the club room, and you'll find us. My goal, and I'm going to figure out a way to accomplish this. It's a big one. Is we want this club to our real estate coaching. It's called Real Estate Masterclass is the name of the actual, the actual club. I know I'm using all these terms, and I sound like a social networking nerd, but just bear with me. You'll understand when you're using the app. But our goal is to have it start every morning at 8 a.m. in all time zones around the world. And I'll figure out how to do it when it gets large enough. Yeah,
it's good. It's growing every day.
So we were, this Clubhouse thing, the reason that I'm excited about it is because it's going to be a absolute, I don't know if it's evolution or revolution, but it's going to be a sea change in what people expect from social networking and the way people communicate. It's going back to what some of you might consider to be old school, where people are actually, talking.
Ooh,
and learning how to express
learning
how to express themselves, and that type of I think really higher brain function type activities, mm-hmm. and which will be a good learning lesson for a lot of us who have gotten so addicted to just sending out little short messages from texting and messaging through Facebook or just whatever else. It's all become very digitized, but now it's kind of circling back to the spoken word, and people seem to be really embracing it. So the question is, for real estate practitioners and business owners who are our primary podcast listeners. How do you make money from from Clubhouse? I mean, let's just cut to it. It's one thing to be, sitting around the water cooler and talking about the football game from last night, but let's really drill down and talk today on our podcast how you make money on Clubhouse. And so we had that as one of the topics this morning, and there was a great sort of, brainstorming session about different ways people are hoping to monetize the relationships they're forming on Clubhouse. But and Julie and I took some notes today, and so let's drill down. Let's really have that conversation. Now, I want to remind you, Clubhouse, as of today, it's going to change any day now, is only available on iPhone. So go to iTunes, download the app. It is a wait list to get into this app now. It's actually not even public yet, but you do definitely want to reserve your name. And if you're in Clubhouse now, listen to what your coach tells you. Be very, very attentive to what I'm about to tell you, because it's one of the most valuable things with regards to this app. You need to go not only to reserve your name if you're new to Clubhouse, but you also then need to set up your own club room. So one of your club rooms, I know, I'll get there. So one of your club rooms, Julie actually has that as her fourth step in what we're going to talk about today. So I won't step on your points anymore.
It's all right. Well, okay, so these are easy steps. None of this is going to cost you any money. It's going to actually cost you very little time. That's one of the things I like about it. It's easy to use. So number one, get your name secured. Remember, don't get any crazy names. Just use who you actually are, because part of the point of this is being able to actually communicate with people who are looking for you.
And once you've got your name, there can't be another one. So there could be, like Julie Harris. I tried to get a club name for Julie Harris, and there was already Julie Harris. So Julie Harris is Julie Harris 1, but where you can find us is Tim and Julie space Harris. So you guys can think out of the box a little bit and get your name secured. It's really important, because this is going to be like a good old school gold rush when this thing opens up to the general public of the people around the planet who are trying to grab names.
Yeah, so, waiting is not good, because had you waited even longer, I probably would have had to be Julie space Harris -- something.
Exactly.
So it's going to get harder to find you if you have to modify your name into something crazy. Okay, so get your name secured. Number 2, actually join Clubhouse. Now that requires an invite, but we're amongst our coaching members. They're sharing their invites pretty nicely.
Right, they are. But you can download the app, and then you'll be put on the wait list. And generally speaking, you'll be let in within like 7 days. But if you've got somebody that sent you an invitation, then you can get in right away. Mm-hmm. One of the things that you didn't have in your notes, which I will say, is make sure you build out your profile. Now, I've been Julie and I are learning on the job here with this app, but it seems pretty obvious that the app itself is paying attention to what your profile says about you. And be very careful. You're allowed to choose 3 different groups of interests. All the normal. It's the same process as when you're setting up a profile with any app. But make sure you choose real estate, and make sure when you're filling out, you got to complete a profile, and that does include ways for people to contact you, because first of all, these conversations on Clubhouse are not recorded. So it's the ultimate fear of missing out, FOMO. So you either listen and you learn and you take notes, or, you don't. And sometimes someone will say something, and you're like, damn, that was, fantastic. And then you click on their profile, and there's no way to get a hold of them, because there is no direct messaging widget for this app. So what you want to do is, when you're filling out your profile, make sure you put how you want to be communicated with. What a lot of people are doing is they're saying direct message me on Instagram. And what they're really doing is obviously wanting a direct message, but they're also wanting you then to follow them on Instagram. That's kind of a genius idea, obviously. So if you're going to do that, that's great. But what I do is both. And I'm also including, and you can look at our profile, I'm also including an option for someone to actually text me directly to my actual cell phone. So that's something else you want to do, because we're about to give you ideas specifically how to monetize it in a second. And you're going to want to make it so people can directly contact you. Point number...
Well, so the next point, because you filled in, you're adding to my points, which is great. Learn to actually use Clubhouse. Okay,
that's point 4.
So what do party hats mean? For example, you have a little icon when you join. That means you're new. You don't want to have that on you for very long. It also is saying, you're figuring out the app, and that's fine, because everyone's gone through that. But you really have to learn how to actually use Clubhouse, how to mute yourself, unmute yourself, how to leave the thing quietly. But it's all super easy to use.
And people are very patient, because everybody's new. I think this thing only went live like 6 months ago. And when the rumors are, and people believe that this is going to be the largest actual official app launch ever, including Facebook. So it's extraordinary. Look, to Julie's point, the best way for you to learn all the little nuanced approaches to being on being on Clubhouse is just to attend and pay attention to how other people are handling themselves in the rooms. And if you come to our room and you join us at 8 a.m. East Coast in the morning and you have a party hat, we're going to look for you. We're going to help you. We're going to put you up on stage. We're going to try to help you earn more credibility within the app. And so this is something else that's worth mentioning. Now, nobody knows for sure, but I think I've kind of figured out the app basically gives, I'll call it brownie points to people who participate. So if you ask questions, that's a form of participation. What it also monitors is how frequently you're logged into the app and how much time you're spending on the app. So if you have a Clubhouse, when you enter Clubhouse, you're going to be very limited in what you can actually do. You can ask questions, you can do things like that, but when you build your profile, that gives you brownie points. If you ask questions, brownie points. If you get on people's stage and they make you a moderator, brownie points. Time on the app, brownie points.
And why does that matter to get the brownie points?
Well, so what happens, and this is, again, I've been paying attention to how this works. As more and more people, well, we've been on it for 2 weeks. We've already got over 1,000 followers, for example. Well, about 1,000 followers. And so what happens is the more that I participated in doing all the things I just said to you, the more the app suggests that people who are joining saying that they're interested in real estate it's being suggested to them that they follow Julie and I, right? Now, a lot of the people following us are people that have known us forever, podcast listeners, book buyers, but Julie and I have been in this space for, forever, right? Since evidently Julie was about, 5?
A youngin'.
Based on her math.
That's right.
But the reality of it is, guys, is that when you participate, the app then rewards you with helping you generate more followers. Now, why does this matter? Again, we're getting to the monetization aspect in a second. And Julie's point number, that would be 6 probably, or 5, something
Wherever
like that.
we're at, yep.
Yeah. So it's start your own rooms. And that's another golden way for you to essentially ascend in the social hierarchy of Clubhouse really quickly. And by starting your own room, you can do it on anything. I had a friend yesterday, day before yesterday, who wanted to talk about the different benefits of living in Puerto Rico, basically. And I said, well, you know what? This is a great conversation. Let's take this to Clubhouse. And so he had the Clubhouse, and we opened it up, and I started the room, and sure enough, about 10 or 15 people popped on, and we talked about different things that we were going to talk about just one-on-one amongst a group of people that I mostly knew and he mostly knew. But it was really freaking awesome. It was almost like we were all sitting around a campfire talking about a shared interest. And that's, again, the benefit of the spoken word. And again, don't freak out when you're on Clubhouse thinking you have to have some sort of formalized presentation and you have to be a professional speaker and you have to be all drilled down and polished up and all the rest of it. You don't. It's just like I said.
It's kind of better if you're not, and if you don't
Totally.
try to, because it'll get boring for people, and it's not what they're really looking for.
Well, the culture on that app seems to favor the less formal. That's the
what I'm
thing.
saying.
It's cool.
Yeah, it'll feel awkward if you over formalize yourself.
Dogs barking, kids screaming, all good things.
People are driving to events and they're dropping their kids off at school, and it's all fairly tolerant as long as you keep yourself muted when there's chaos. But
Margot was on this morning, and she was joining us every morning in Brooklyn, New York, while she's on her walk.
Yeah, there's a lot of people doing that.
We have people. I've had people that are on Clubhouse while they're driving their kids to school and while they're on treadmills, and you can hear them, making their cornflakes in the background. It's all good, guys. That's the point. It's supposed to be informal.
Yes, but I want to. You're getting used to using it, so I want to make sure that we isolate some other benefits. For example, when you and Chris decided one day to talk about moving to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And you created that Clubhouse. You and Chris did not have to call or email or pursue any of the people who attended that, did you?
So let's drill down on what you just said. Yeah. Well, you're pivoting towards how they make money from it, which is ideal. So let's make this even more relevant. So if you guys wanted to start, and you should, doing a seller seminar, let's say, or a homeowner seminar, where you're just going to run a seminar. This is how people have traditionally done this. They usually do it for buyers, but you can also do it for sellers. You're going to run a special educational event for sellers that are, and the 3 topics are going to be, what's going on with property values, the future of property values, whatever. You're going to have something. You have to create a flyer. You have to create an agenda. You have to probably rent a room in a restaurant, or you have to rent a church basement, or you have to find some place to do it. You have to then supply coffee. You're going to have to set up chairs. You're going to then hope and pray people show up. Usually 50% of all the people that say they're going to come. You're going to have to do a whole bunch of work just in preparation for what might be an hour's meeting. Now, if you had, for example, our friend Orlando in Miami, he's today, did I tell you, he's doing an event with 350 people in Miami. Well, I know it took him months and really thousands of dollars to set that event up. Well, this morning, our clubhouse, I think at one point had 160 people in it. And to get 160 people in the room, it took me less than a minute. And that's the beauty of this app. So you essentially, all you've got to do is you set up and setting up a room takes 3 steps. And let's say, for example, the Formula One season, which many, like me and like Julie care about.
Zoe likes it too.
Some of you don't even know what I'm talking about. But there's a big, Formula One season that starts tomorrow. The first race is, I think, in Abu Dhabi starting tomorrow. So I could start a room where I wanted to talk about Formula One, and all of a sudden the app is going to find other people who have expressed interest in Formula One and throw them in. It basically say, there's a room starting talking about Formula One. Would you like? And then they say yes, and then starts out with a couple, then hundreds, then dozens and thousands of people can show up to your club room. The maximum room size is 5,000, but now you've got an opportunity to be in front. Now, how do you make money from it?
Well, pause for a second.
Yes, ma'am.
How is it that the app just magically finds people? I skipped another step for this because I'm figuring it out as I go too. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how is it that the app is able to magically create room attendance for you? Yes.
Well, so when you set up your profile, you're putting in the keywords of it reads your profile saying what you're interested in. But I mean, you say, I'm interested in real estate, I'm interested in entrepreneurship, I'm interested in whatever
Formula
I'm interested
One, for
in.
example.
Right. And then, so you can't pick that many interests, but then it's going to identify your interests. And anytime someone says that their room is about one of those interests, you might get invited to that interest or to that room. Now, the other thing is it's going to scan your profile. This is what people believe anyway. So look at Julie and I's profile for ideas. It's not, art, it's basically art and science at this point to figure out really what the ideal profile length and everything is. So I'm not saying ours is perfect, is what I'm saying. But anyway, so the app then will scan the profile, and based on how you described yourself in the profile, it'll also then match you to different rooms. So, and all the people that are following you already will be notified every time Tim and Julie Harris start a room. All the people who have indicated they want to be notified when we start a room will then be notified, and they can then join us in the room.
So by following people that show up to some of your other rooms that probably have similar interests, then you're building basically your network of people who have similar interests who might go to similar rooms. And there's a lot of crossover there, right?
Right. And when you show up to somebody's room, let's say you're going to show up to somebody's room and whatever the conversation is going to be, and let's just keep it pertaining to real estate, local, whatever it is, how to, take a listing in under 30 days or whatever it's going to be. So this is somebody else's room. You pop on there, you ask a question, they put you on stage, you ask the question, and then usually everybody that's in the room is going to follow you. So you're able to get people to follow you, and then when you start a room, you're then going to have those people that are going to be hopefully then showing up to your room and participating, wash, rinse, repeat. Now, how can you make money from this? Getting to that, and
yes.
I'll
which is a developing story, basically.
Right. Nobody really knows, so you're not supposed to pitch in the rooms themselves. I don't think it's actually a violation of the terms of service. But in our rooms, if you show up and you're pitching something, you all of a sudden find yourself not being able to talk anymore. I move you back down to the audience. We are going to hire a professional moderator as our room size grows bigger because moderating is a lot of work. But I want you guys to Google BNI, Business Networking International. And I think this is a great way for most of you guys to start your first room, or at least conceptually make it so you have some direction. BNI, basically, you join a local BNI chapter, and then there'll be one, you'll be the only agent. Then there'll be an insurance agent. Then there might be, a guy that owns a funeral parlor. There might be a financial planner. There might be a landscaper. So what happens in each BNI group, in each chapter, there's one representative, one person representative of each industry. You won't have 2 agents in these BNI groups. And the whole idea is everyone sits around, it's usually once a month, and you're at each month. Look, I won't tell you about the format, but the bottom line is it's a killer way for you to get referrals and give referrals to the other people in the BNI group.
Well, it's literally what it says. It's a business network international. So in other words, it is a place that you can network without being weird about it.
Right.
You're there to network. Nobody else is going to be weird about it.
Yep.
We've had coaching clients over the years who have turned that into a pretty significant spoke. And this is a great way to, the first thing you might do is see if there's one existing that's already been set up so you can go there and listen and see how it works, right?
Well, let's not talk.
Yeah.
The point being is BNI is a good thing for you guys to maybe emulate with your clubhouse.
Okay. Got
So
it.
that's where we're going with this. So if you want to have an idea and motivation how to actually start your first clubhouse, why don't you go to other local business owners in your marketplace and then say, let's all join this club room called whatever you're going to call it.
Miami Business Network.
Or there you go, Miami Business Network. And you're going to start having this, once a week, twice, whatever. You're going to start doing Miami Business Network. All these other members are going to show up and they're going to invite their friends. And you guys, and now what does that do? Not only is it going to be a group of initially of say 10 founders of Miami Business Network, but then over time it's going to be thousands of local Miami business owners that are going to join. And then you've just created this virtual cacophony of endless leads for you. And you can decide how many agents are in that room. Like I would, be selfish since you started it and did the work, just make it you. And then people, then the different topics that you talk about, like you can talk about all kinds of different things that are challenging and to a business owner, personally and, through their business. Anything and everything is unlimited. There's nothing off limits as far as topics, but that's how you could, that's a idea. The second idea that Julie and I had for all of you is that you can start so for example, let's say you want to break into the luxury real estate market or you're in the luxury real estate market. I want you to identify where your clients, generally speaking, the buyers moved from and where the sellers moved to. And I want you to then to identify like-minded agents in those markets. When Julie and I sold real estate in New Albany, Ohio, a lot of our reloading in buyers came from maybe only 3 or 4 different markets: New York City, Atlanta, some from North Carolina, stuff like that. And so if I were doing this and Julie and I were doing this, we would then identify who the top producing agent singular are in each of those markets, and I would start a recurring clubhouse room for them.
Relationships,
right? Yeah. Now, then you're going to talk about real estate trends. You're going to talk about luxury real estate. You're going to talk about whatever the hell you want to talk about. But the whole idea is you're establishing yourself as an expert in a certain price range, and you're also directly connecting with the top producing agents in each of these markets.
Relocation referrals,
exactly.
Guys. Okay, so and this is a great way for you to also talk about, if somebody's moving across town, what's it going to take for them to buy something? What's happening in your market?
Now, remember, this isn't just the handful of people you have that are helping you start this room, because other agents on Clubhouse are going to be attracted to, real estate millionaire network or whatever you're going to call it. And they're going to see it. They're going to listen. They're going to be in the audience. They're also going to have referrals. They're also going to want to basically, participate. This is how you can expand your network of, agents.
Like your professional center of influence.
Exactly. And
efficiently, super efficiently. Way faster than you could do without this.
Now let's talk about how you could do that. So the BNI thing, that's the idea. The luxury real estate, thing. It doesn't have to be luxury. It can be it could just be real estate in general. But let's talk about how you can actually create something that's specifically for homeowners, or assuming you're being smart and you're focusing your energies on attracting sellers.
Well, what's the hot topic right now? How to buy and sell at the same time.
Right.
Without being homeless, without, having to move 3 times, without having too many mortgages. So that is absolutely the hot topic, the gorilla in the room. And how much inventory isn't out there right now because people don't know how to do that.
So here's what I would be doing if Julie and I still sold real estate. We would be going to Clubhouse. We would be starting a club room called New Albany, Ohio Real Estate. And we would do that urgently, because that is those types of keywords. Once you have a club name, there cannot be another club name. That's it. You got it. So real estate coaching, Julie and I now have forever. Let's talk real estate. We now have forever. And you're allowed to have 2 new club names every single month. But club names are going to be gold. So definitely choose hyper local names and then start a conversation about what people ask you when you're in line at Starbucks, right? Start a club where it's maybe you and some other people, people that maybe work as part of your team. If you're an EXP, people that are working maybe in your local market that are also maybe in your revenue share group, and start talking about real estate trends, what's going on, and then invite. Your obvious goal is to let homeowners know about it and have them come and ask questions. And maybe you can lead generate off your profile offering CMAs, old school stuff, but it all works. The point is, put yourself in a position in front of as many people as possible to have direct, interactive, helpful, intentional conversations. And guys, this will reinforce your offline activities with proactive lead generation.
Yes, and I was also thinking about something for investors in your town, and there's different directions you can go with that. One of my thoughts was, if most investors are like 10 properties or less, single family homes, stuff like that, or small duplexes and things like that. So most of them have something coming vacant So that would help your wayward sellers in between houses. Most of and not to mention a potential listing for you, most of them know what's coming up. And so this is almost like shadow inventory. You can talk about that. You can pick up investors yourself to invest in, maybe you've got your own iBuyer thing going. There's just so many different directions for the investor thing. But I've been thinking about different avenues of real estate, right? Like you had talked about a seller seminar. You could do a buyer seminar and talk about different types of loans and what's required these days.
Though I have no idea why you'd want to attract buyers to you in this market. That
right.
sounds
well,
like
only for listings, basically.
If you're a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but how about this? You said it earlier. It's a great idea. There is in a lot of markets, a lot of sellers that would list if they could find something to buy.
Yeah.
So you could do a Clubhouse. You keep saying seminar. Call it Clubhouse.
Sorry. Yeah.
If you were to do a Clubhouse that was about that specific topic alone, you would get a lot. And then you open
a ton,
a
right?
ton.
So like how many sellers or would-be sellers are not listing right now because they have no idea how a leaseback works, for example. They don't think of that on their own. That's where you come in.
And so just very preliminarily, how are your sellers and your past clients going to find you? Because when you set up a profile in Clubhouse, you give it access to your address book, and then you can go and say invite all. And then a lot of those people in your phone book are also going to be obviously either Clubhouse curious or already on Clubhouse. So now you've taken all your centers of influence folks and you put them in direct contact with you disseminating information that's going to keep them keep thinking about you when it comes to basically hiring a listing agent.
Yeah, I mean, you could make it super simple. Do what you said. Give it access to your phone contacts, invite all, and then set up a room where you're simply talking about what's like a market report.
Right.
Okay. So what's hot and what's not, what's the average days on the market, going up, going down, all that, the hot topics of real estate right now with your database. I mean, that's just super powerful.
You'll have to use your own creative.
Yeah.
This is the first app, truthfully, social networking app that Julie and I have really felt enthusiastic about because you can't fake it.
And it doesn't cost you anything, and it's super easy to use.
Yeah, all that stuff. And so this app is really, I think, what a lot of you have been searching for, or assuming you're wanting to differentiate yourself from the hordes of really, Instagram, for example, where you can put 14 filters on yourself and lean on someone else's Lamborghini. I mean, it's all fake-a-do. But with this, when someone's listening to you talk and ask questions and someone's listening to you, the whole process of communication is profound.
Yes. Okay. So on that topic, you made me think of something from a Clubhouse a couple of days ago. One of the attendees to that said something really interesting. He said, this is the first time I've been comfortable being on stage. He said, I spent a couple of weeks on Clubhouse going to different things, asking questions and getting better at public speaking. He said he was specifically using Clubhouse to get better at succinct speaking, right? To say what you mean. And you bring this up on almost every Clubhouse when we have our questions and our mindset things where it's like, I can't really tell what it is that you need help with because you're not defining, you're not drilling down. And if you can't do that personally, that's going to make it harder for you to be a great presenter. So I think from a coaching standpoint.
Not even presenter. That's too ominous.
I'm just saying
a question asker.
They can practice conversing people, so that they're more confident, say, in a listing appointment. If they're not used to that kind of conversation because they've been holed up in quarantine for a year and on other social media where you don't get that voice-to-voice interaction. I think it's a great place to practice public speaking and hear other people do it.
The inability to ask a question concisely
or to answer one
is an indication of foggy thinking.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of you suffer from without really knowing it. And when you raise your hand and I put you on stage, I'm not embarrassing you. I'm trying to help you.
That's right.
And I'm asking you to be very tight with your question and ask a concise question like the question is today. What's the biggest challenge you're having in your business or personal life, and how can we help you? That was it. And then it wasn't just Julie and I, coaching people. It was, I don't know, we had maybe 15 moderators who were up there that were all contributing when they had something to say. But it was fascinating that a lot of you guys don't realize that you've developed this really foggy thinking. And foggy thinking is going to mean you're never really going to have clear focus on the accomplishment of goals. One thing leads to the other. So if you're wanting to know how to get more precise with the accomplishment of things in life in general, to finally get your to-do list done, have clarity of thought, and starts with being able to ask concise and answer questions concisely.
Yeah, and that's a great place to do it. So. And you can hear people, how they're struggling their way through and learn from that and learn from the moderators like you and some of your other guests up there. I think, there is a little education aspect to this.
Well, it shines light on the fact that a lot of people really don't know how to articulate themselves.
Yes, and I do think that got a little bit worse because of COVID, because a lot of people were spending time only with themselves or just their family, or they had like 5 contacts a day and they already know everybody.
So I'm going to share with you something else that I was going to bring up this morning, but I didn't. So podcast listenership went across the board, went down slightly. Why? Because people were in lockdown and they weren't driving places, driving to work.
That makes sense.
They weren't actually, because that's when most people listen to things, is when they're in doing something else. Well, so now that those restrictions are coming to an end, except in evidently draconian states like New York, which I can't believe. But you're going to see an explosion in podcasting, frankly. You're going to see a number of people listening and downloading, an explosion in people wanting to connect in, although this word's overused, but it's an apt word, is authentic ways, an explosion in not just Clubhouse, but other apps similar to it. So guys, get ahead of this. Trust your coaches, or maybe we're just your podcast, hosts, or maybe we're just your authors and you read our book, Harris Rules, but trust us, this is definitely not, this is going to be a long-term trend. But trends can last decades. So this is going to be a long-term trend. So make sure you're leveraging this. And it is definitely the wild, wild west in this new form of, app communication. But get in there right away. Grab your name. Once you are able, grab a club name that's going to be something that you'll want to use long-term for the creation of your business. And march forward, guys. It's exciting. We're all figuring this out along the way. It's kind of funny. The app developers themselves are still trying to figure it out too.
Yeah, that's an adventure for sure.
So in the meantime, on a quick announcement, this continues to be the number 1 listened to daily podcast for real estate agents in the nation. And we are going to start accepting advertising, which is going to be something that you guys, if you don't want to listen to it, you can always fast forward through it. But we're signing up with an agency who's going to start placing ads that Julie and I will be reading. But, it's going to be something, we're going to experiment with it. So as we roll this out probably over the coming weeks, just bear with us and give us some feedback what you think.
Well, yeah, and I think that there will be plenty of things that are useful to them. We're not going to do crazy things, I don't think.
No, we're going to do crazy things. Like
maybe.
We get to choose. So I'll give
That's
you
what I'm saying. We'll choose and we'll try and make it fun.
Yeah, but we got, so for example, I went to, because I think it would just be so hilarious to watch me, or for me to watch you trying to do a commercial about manscaping.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. That'll be yours.
You know what I'm talking about, though?
Yes. I know that there's an ad for that.
Yeah, or Helix Sleep. If you guys listen to podcasts, you guys will know what I'm talking about. There always is the same advertisers that are running ads on all the different top podcasts. And lately it's Helix Sleep, it's Manscaping, it's Blue Chew, which is basically Viagra.
Yeah, and then during the holidays it's more gifty,
Yep.
So it'll change. It'll be interesting to see what we can choose from.
But we'll keep it G-rated for sure for the most part.
Hopefully.
We won't be running CDB ads. We won't be
CBD.
Yeah, but we will be accepting advertising from frankly products that we use or we would use. We're not just going to do ads just for the sake of doing ads. And there'll probably only be 2 or 3 ads per podcast, but such is the way.
You've been warned.
And
you know how to fast forward if that pleases you. It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah. I mean, I don't frankly listen to ads on podcasts, but I mean, sometimes I do.
But sometimes I get ideas for, gifts or something that sounds a little interesting.
Yeah, well, guess what? Pearl Source on the Ben Shapiro.
That's right. You bought me some beautiful pearls from that.
He runs, Pearl Source runs ads on Ben Shapiro and other podcasts around the holidays and, gift-givey times. And I was able to buy Julie a beautiful set of pearls from Pearl Source, which I didn't even know about. Yeah.
I know. I didn't either.
So advertising works.
It does.
Oh, no.
Oh, wait a minute. Wash your mouth out with soap. All right. I got to get on Facebook Live for our premier coaching mastermind. So.
Yes. If you guys need me for anything, remember, you can always text me. It's 512-758-0206, 512-758-0206. We're always interested in anything we can do. If you guys are interested in joining one of our coaching programs, a lot of you guys are just going directly to our website and signing up. That's great. Just go to timandjulieharris.com, timandjulieharris.com. If you want to join eXp Realty and you're looking for the right sponsor, please do consider us and text me directly at 512-758-0206, 512-758-0206. In the meantime, you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows, and until next time, Thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.